doing this?
Yeah, the people of the world need to know what really went on in our history.
But this is just a movie set.
It's not just any movie set. It's the set to the new movie, America's Building. It's all about our history and how we came to be the great America. Baron de Montesquieu, who was one of the main founders of our government and came up with a three-part government system. It's played by Brad Pitt.
Wait, hold up. Who is being played by Brad Pitt?
Duh. He's the one who came up with the three branches of government, which has the following. 1, the executive branch, which is made up of the vice president, the president, and their cabinet members. They enforce the laws. 2, the legislative branch, which consists of Congress, which is made up of 2 houses. The House of Representatives, who propose taxes and can fire the president, and the Senate, which is the other house. They approve of presidential appointments and make treaties with foreign.
Maybe it was just a mouse.
But who's that guy with the big nose over there?
Oh, you mean that guy?
You guys.
Duh, he's trying to play John Locke.
Okay.
And that's the guy who came up with our natural rights, our social contract, and the purpose of our government.
Okay, so John Locke.
John Locke.
Better. Natural rights. Rights that are not dependent on laws or customs. Social contracts, republican theories that maintain the normality of society, and purpose of a government not to increase taxes or take property, but to help the people. You guys get it now? Look, Carissa.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. But please stop before I die from boredom, because that's against Amendment 8, which is no cruel and unusual punishment.
Anyways, where did you get that poster?
You guys, it doesn't matter.
Whatever. I think the guy playing John Locke is gone now.
Oh, yeah? Okay, I think we should go right.
I think we should go left.
No, I think we should go
Left,
right.
you guys, left.
Just let's compromise and go forward.
Hey, that reminds me of the Great Compromise.
What's that?
Oh, you know, the Great Compromise is the plan we use to come up with
Here,
the
let me
way
help
that
you.
our Congress will look. Thank you. So a while ago, back when we first became a country, there was the New Jersey plan, there was the Virginia plan, and that's how we were going to have our legislative branch.
So what were they based on?
The New Jersey plan wanted to have one house of Congress, and they had equal votes from each state. The Virginia plan, they wanted to have 2 houses, and those were based on population of the place.
So if you had more people living in one state, then they'd get more votes than...
Yes,
Exactly.
that's why the smaller states like the New Jersey plan and the bigger states like the Virginia plan. So they came up with the Great Compromise, or the Connecticut plan, which had one house based on population, and another house had equal votes from each state. But there was another problem. Should slaves be counted for the population thing? They didn't have the rights that the normal people had, but they were people. So they came up with the 3/5 compromise, which meant that 3/5 of the slaves were counted in the population towards the states.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And you made fun of me for whipping out posters?
Hey, I have the right to whip out posters whenever I want. It's part of Amendment 9, which means that I have the right to. I have other rights than what's in the Bill of Rights.
Okay. You said something about like a legislative branch. What is that? Like you were talking about
Well-
before.
There are 3 branches of government in our Constitution that's in the United States of America. There's 3 branches. The judicial branch, which is kind of like a juggler in a circus, because they juggle people's fates, and they decide whether or not laws are like fair, constitutional. The laws are written by the House of Representatives and the Senate, which is the legislative branch. They work together in order to make laws and make tax revenues. But there's also a 3rd branch, which is the executive branch, like I mentioned earlier, which is kind of like that man who's standing on top of the elephant. The elephant would be the executive branch, and the man would be like the president, because he's on top of the executive branch. The reason they created the 3 branches of government is that they have a separation of powers. Without that, one branch might have too much power, and that would not be
Wait, what's the
good.
separation of powers?
The separation of powers separated the three branches into three equal parts. They all had the same amount of power, because if they didn't do that, there might be too much power in one place, and we'd have a dictator.
Oh, I see. Is there anything else?
Not really.
Wait, it said something about the Constitution.
Oh yeah, the Constitution was a document written. It was like formed after the Magna Carta, which is in England.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
But before the Constitution, there were the Articles of Confederation.
Oh, yeah.
But there was there was many weaknesses in the Articles of Confederation, so that's why they changed it. There's 4 weaknesses that I remember it. 1, there was no chief executive, like the president, that way we have
Oh,
now.
that'd be bad.
Without that, there was no unity. They needed somebody who could be a figure for the country. 2, the Congress couldn't tax the people directly. They could only ask for money from the states. And when they're like that, then there's no money for the Congress, because who would purposely want to
Oh,
pay
yeah,
taxes?
so you couldn't, like, build schools or anything
No,
important like
it's
that.
horrible.
Yeah.
Also, the Congress couldn't draft an army. Without that, I mean,
So how did we fight?
there was these little militias or Minutemen who were from each state, but we needed to have a federal army. Without that,
Oh,
our
gosh,
country's
gee, that's like,
kinda-
that'd have been so confusing.
I know. And the reason they decided to change it into the Constitution is because of something called Shays' Rebellion.
So was that because they didn't have enough soldiers because they couldn't draft an army?
Yeah, Shays' Rebellion happened, and that was when a bunch of farmers revolted against the Massachusetts government.
Why did
And-
they revolt?
They revolted because the farmers they didn't want to have their land taken away because they couldn't pay their taxes. And they were going to have their land taken away, so they revolted against the judges. And if we had a federal army, that would have been taken care of in a snap. But instead, it took a while, and the farmers had already invaded the armory. Also, the Congress couldn't collect state debts when they were under the Articles of Confederation. So can you imagine if somebody owed you $1 million and you could not force them to give it to you?
Are you
So you
serious?
couldn't even ask them?
No.
Wow, so what they do? Did the government just fall
Basically, the
apart?
Congress was broke. They didn't have any money, so their whole government fell apart. So that's why they decided to write the Constitution.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. What is the Constitution?
Constitution is kind of like the laws that we have to follow, and it describes how our government's going to be like. That's what it says that there's 3 branches, and how people will get into the branches, and how old they have to be, and that's all the regulations for our government.
Okay.
Okay, I see.